JFL Boat Build Series.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Brent Bridgeman, and I'm bringing you the JFL Boat Build Series from Smiths Lake, Alabama. So what we're going to do this morning is we got the stuff to do the structural repair in the back transom area. I had temporarily put this over the back so that it would stay dry. We're going to go through acetone the areas where we're going to add fiberglass and mat, and then we're going to do all the structural repair today. And then tomorrow, given that we get this completed, tomorrow we'll be re-glassing the bottom cap, top cap together, and that back well will be fiberglassed all back together. And then throughout the week, I'll do the sanding and smoothing. We'll get that in gel coat, and then we'll start doing the upper layer on the top of the boat next weekend. So we've got a lot of work to do. This is off the Viper, which is now listed on Marketplace. This goes to the front nose, but it worked out very nice to keep the water off and out of the back area where we're doing the transom repair. So later today, I've got to make some measurements. Hopefully next weekend we can get started on our seating area and put the new seats in the boat. Today you're going to need nitrile rubber gloves, some eye protection, and possibly at some point some respirator. We're going to be working with resins, and you don't want to breathe a lot of that stuff in. We are in the open air, so that will help us out. I'm trying to release a YouTube video every single weekend, so hopefully we can get that going. We need a lot of followers. I'd like to get to 10,000. Anything you could do to like and share this video would sure help me. Hope you learned something today. We're going to dive into the structural repair of the fiberglass transom in this Ranger Z20, and I hope you enjoy. Where we left off last time, we grinded all this out. We didn't have time to vacuum or clean it up because it started raining. The sun's going to be a little crazy today, so once it gets in the shade area, the film situation will be a lot better. But anyway, let me bring you in and show you guys the disaster from grinding all of this area. As you can see, all the fiberglass dust and everything from all the grinding. But we've got it ready to glass, and what we'll do from here is we're going to vacuum all of this out. Let's see where we grinded. Got it all ready. It's all grinded way back in there, because we're going to bring that piece way over to there. It'll actually connect to the back tie down. But we'll get this all cleaned up, and then we're going to wipe it down with acetone. And then I'm going to remove this back piece. It has the battery charger on it. Remove these hoses so we can do this repair properly. Like I said, I'm going to take this. You can see where we ground all the way over to the back hook. So this will all be glass back in here, and then I'm going to put in those joists here. So it'll strengthen this area so it's not just all riding on this back piece. So yeah, lots of filming today, and you guys are going to learn something. And by the end of the day, we should have all this glassed in and ready to go.
Cannot escape your destiny.
All right, let's get this battery charger out of here. Like I said, we're not going to be using this battery charger, so let's see if we can get it out. So this is the salsa maker that I was showing you guys, and then this is just some chop strand from my roll. So what you want to do is take a little bit here. You don't want to just jam pack it in there, but you want to make sure you get it down in there in little pieces. All right. You don't want to overdo it. So once you make this, it's going to be a lot too. So want to make sure you don't have any strands hanging out. You put this in here. All right, push the button. Well, that, folks, is what you call an epic fail. And it also goes to show you that we also include our bloopers. All right, so we'll just go back to the old school way. What you want to do is you want to trim these real small and make sure they're falling in the container. All right. Okay. If you're chopping those up real fine, once you get a lot of it together without the dirt, once you chop those up really fine and you make it into like a paste, all those cracks and crevices that we're going to fill with this, all that binding together is all good stuff and strength. So the nice thing about fiberglass or carbon fiber or anything that has to do with a resin or a two-part epoxy with this type of glass meshing, particles, strands, things like that, it's all going to add a lot of strength to your project, especially in those areas that are being filled in that were damaged from the boat. If you think about it, like if you were to blow that up under a microscope, you'd have lots of crevices and valleys and holes and cracks, you know? So if you mix this resin with these particles in it, and let's just say you had an odd shaped cave that you went into with a 2x4. Well, let's just imagine that you had 1,000 2x4s and you placed each 2x4 crisscross, intertwined into each other, into the outer edges of the cave that you're in, and then you filled it with resin. That's the best way I could describe it. Is after you filled it with resin and all those 2x4s are against every crack and crevice and sticking there sideways, crisscross and intertwined, and you filled that cavity with resin, the end result is you're going to have something that's non-movable. So what we have there, if you were to blow up those cracked areas or the areas that were pulled away from the accident, and then to fill them with these fibers, let me bring this in close. Let me show you what we're working with here. See how they're just little shards, right? Little shards. And once they're in resin and they're filling those cracks and crevices, right, then it's going to make a bond to where those areas don't have room to even move anymore, which is what we want. We don't want them to fail. Actually, this will be 1,000 times stronger than the original situation that Ranger had going on. But as I said in the video before, had this boat manufacturer, Ranger, finished the hull the way I think they were supposed to finish it, I think there might be some laziness in this boat, to be honest. I've seen other Rangers, transoms that I've inspected that were not hurt, and they were all covered. So I don't know if this one just, someone went to lunch before they were supposed to cover this one or what, but the fact is, it's not there. So this is what we're after here, is these little shards, and boy, I'm going to be itching, I'll tell you that. I can already tell my fingers are already itching. But that's, you know, that's the process, and you want to chop all this up. All right, so right now I'm just doing some strategic taping for certain areas I want to focus on, and then as they build up, I'll be coming up the stringers, and I'm gonna be saving pieces of tape to remind me. We're backfilling a bunch of areas, and then eventually I'm going to end up coming up the stringer. And what we're doing is we're filling in the cracks as we come up, and as we get higher, we'll be using a lot of tape to sandwich the pieces in there, and then we'll move on to, we're going to tape it all. So right now I'm just doing strategic taping. As you can see, I got different styles of tape going on that are going to fill these areas with the gel. Same with down here where it tried to pull through. We're just slowly building from the bottom up, and then we'll do the same over here on this side. And then I'll be showing you guys me injecting the gel in here, and then us using the tape to keep it where it needs to be. Then after it sets up and dries, we can come back, knock the tops off of it, and then lay the glass over the top of that. So this is a long drawn out process. It's a game of patience, that's for sure. What I'm doing here is these pieces of tapes are ready. As I lay this glass in this crevice and it fills up and I can massage it in, then as I get to this surface here, I can take the next set of tape and put it over it, squish it in, make sure it's sandwiched, and then this last piece of tape will go here on the top. Then this whole crevice that had pulled away originally will be repaired. After that sets up, I grind it nice and smooth, and then I come in and I take on this second crack over here, as well as while I'm filling this, I'll be filling these lower parts here. And as I said, I'm building our way up. And as we build our way up, it's filling in all the damaged, cracked area that was pulled away, and also providing strength that it never had, because we're actually getting in the areas that never had the resin it was supposed to have. So by the time we're done here with all this, it'll set up in, say, 30 minutes. I can come through and I can grind off the tops real quick and then go right back at it. We'll vacuum up the sanding dust, and then we'll come back in here and we'll start finishing the last of the gel part. So after the gel part's all nice and smoothed off, after that, then say in a few hours, we'll start glassing. I'm actually going to make these pieces for the corner first, and then we'll start glassing. Once we start glassing, we won't stop. Even if it goes into night, we're just going to continue because we want all that stuff to adhere together. So that's what we're doing now. It'll all make sense in the end, I promise. Not to mention, it'll look really nice and brand new back here, and you could put a 500 on here if you wanted to. The Coast Guard wouldn't like it, but you could. So it's going to be strong, nice and sturdy. I had somebody ask in the comments, so is this like your first time fiberglass? And actually, no. I grew up in a body shop. My father was a Corvette fiberglass specialist. So the fiberglass I watched my dad do, and then of course I had a little tiny RC boat I did when I was a kid. It was all fiberglass. But it's where I learned, and it's actually the easiest material to work with. It's a pain in the butt because it's itchy, and especially when you get the glass between your fingers like I have right now. From chopping that stuff up, you get little shards of glass in between your fingers. That hurts, you know, but it's par for the course. That's what happens when you're working with fiberglass. So the fact is, I think the estimate that this customer got when he had the boat was $22,000 to repair this whole piece. So I'll go through a little bit of, discomfort for a few days just to get the correct work done on the boat. And then when I'm going across the waves, I know that for a fact that I will have the courage and the knowledge to know that this back here is not going to come off. It's not going to break. It's not even going to come apart. I think the motor would rip off the boat before anything catastrophe. It'd have to be a hard hit. What I'm saying is when we get done with this, it's going to be kind of indestructible, to be honest. You'd have to be really messed up to actually hurt something really bad. So you can see here what I'm doing. I'm building up this corner. Let's see, I'll move the camera a little bit. Sorry for the shaking, guys. Let me zoom in here where I'm. So remember that area right here? It's got a hole. So while we're in here doing the gel part of this, and what I mean by gel is the thinner resin with a little bit of mesh, is I'm just building this tape up so it doesn't spill over the side of the boat into something else. But I want to fill this crack, and then this hole goes way down there, and I want to fill that. Over here, I've got it masked off because it was ripped away from here. But as you can see, like down here in the bottom, I'm going to be filling over this bolt just like I did on the other side. It's also going to add strength. So I'm filling that, and I'm also going to fill this right here that has come away, and that resin will bond behind there. Okay, so it's always nice to use these mixing cups for measurement purposes, and they're just easy to use. A way to stop that from happening is to use acetone to clean the lid when you're done. What I want to do is I'm going to use a pretty good amount of resin, so I'm going to pour it into here. All right. So it's 250 milliliters. That should do what I'm doing. Remember, we're going to mix some of this mesh in with it. All right. So you got 250 milliliters. You can see that here. Make sure you can see what I'm talking about. Here you go. 250 milliliters. I'm going to grab half of the stuff that we chopped up. Right. Now, I didn't put any hardener in this yet. Okay. So I'm taking half of this because we're going to do, and take a butter knife, cheap butter knife, and I just mix it in. Right, just mix it around real good, and you're going to get like a jelly. See that? You want that jelly, because inside that jelly is those little strands of fiberglass that you want to dig in. So you're going to mix it around just like this. See that? It's like jelly. That's how you want it. So that's not just resin going in the cracks. It's got fibers, and all those fibers are little shreds of glass. See that? All right. I'm going to add a little more resin to this because it's a little thick. Now there's no hardener in this yet, okay? So I'm going to mix this around some more. I want that resin mixed in there with all this real good. And I want a smooth consistency. You don't want it too dry. And anyone who wants to know, we're going to replace the outer carpet on this boat, and we're doing the middle and sea deck with the logos. So, and I know you asked what logos, because we're not running sponsors. Just the JFL logo, justfishlures.com. We're just going to run that, because eventually we're going to get the glide baits going again. All right, see the consistency? So we're going to let that sit for a little bit. We'll put that right here. All right, we're going to make sure we didn't miss any areas. All right, then it'll go on nice and easy. That way when you go to use it next time, it'll come right off. All right. See, that's the angle you need. Yeah, let's run that angle. I guess I could just, yeah, I can work around the camera. I just got to pay attention, that's all. Because I want you guys to see what's going on, you know what I mean? I'm going to try to work around the camera, guys. So the camera's like right in my way, but I want you guys to be able to see what happens here. So what I'm going to do is, it's kind of warm today. I just want a soft batch. Put a hole in this, hang on. So what I don't want to do is mix too much hardener. So I'm just going to put a couple drips in here, which means it'll set up eventually, but I want enough time for it to work, you know what I mean? And so when you mix this hardener in, you want to make sure you mix it around really good. And then this stuff's gonna set off quick. So I've got the hardener in here, just so I want to make sure that all of it gets mixed in there. Then I want to go right to putting it in here, okay? And I'm jamming it in there with that knife. Jamming it in there with that butter knife, because I want all that to go in there. All right, so I'm jamming it in where that crack was. Making sure it's going down in the crevice. And you're trying to be kind of neat as well, because the more neat you are, the less you got to sand. So I'm just scooping it out of there like jelly. and it's going down, and you want to pack it in there, because where we're putting this, you know, is where it ripped away. So we're getting it packed in there. See, we're packing it in the whole time. Just keep pulling it up, and just keep packing it. And that's all them glass fibers are going to go in and fill all those little crevices and cracks that it pulled away from. And that way, you know, like it's jammed in there, so there's no air gap. See, like I'm jamming it in that corner, Same down here. Okay. Get a little bit on this screw down in here. Get this going down in here where that bolt's at. Want that where that bolt's at. I hope you guys are catching all this. This is really good. So we've filled this area over here. Still needs more. Right. So we're just working this edge, and as you fill that in, you can put more there. You keep putting more there. And you're also trying to keep it flat, because, like I said, the more you keep it nice and neat, the less you got to sand. So we're keeping that nice and neat. That's jammed in there. Okay, let's go down here. Got to work kind of fast, because it'll start hardening up, and then you can have a mess on your hands. I mean, you can always grind it away and add back to it, but you want to do as little as possible. Trust me on that. See how I smooth that off? So I fill that crevice right there. The stuff's so awesome with that chop strand chopped up. You can get it in all the cracks and crevices where it had pulled away from the boat. And as you get it jammed down in there, you know it's in there. And so as you do that, you just keep pulling it up. See that there? Pulling it up. And we get to the top, you just cap it off, because we're going to grind across here and make this flat again. So now we're going to go down here where it pulled away. Right? Go down here where it pulled away, where the washer was. We're going to get it inside here. It's okay if we overfill this, because we can come back and grind this flat. Now I already plugged up the hole where the bolt was, right? So we're just trying to add glass to back to where it was so we can get it flat. This is the area where the washers tried to pull through the transom. Let's get some down this crack right here. Get some going down the crack right here. And I know I'm making this look easy, but it's lots of years of fiberglass. But just let it do its thing. See how it's running down this rib? We're going to work it, right? We're going to work it down that rib, because that's where it pulled away from. We're going to keep working it. Keep working it down there. We got the tape at the bottom where it stops. So we got that to our safety down there, you know. And as it makes it down there, we want to pull it back up. See, it filled up. It's kind of like a gauge. And we're kind of giving ourselves a round area here, because when we come around with our mat, it's going to give us a round surface. Let's get a little more right here. A little more right here. This area. All right, we're going to come over here where the major damage was, right? We're going to peel that back, stick that down in there. It needs a lot. There we go. Peel the tape back, let it fold in there. All right. See how it works it right in behind that tape? See that? Fold right in that pocket. All right. Now this all has fiber in it, guys. This isn't just resin. This has all that fiber mat chopped up. And what we're doing is we're repairing that area that was dug out. Remember, it had a big gap right here. So we're just going to keep pulling all that up, pull it up. And eventually when this sets, you won't have to keep pulling. So I know it seems like a pain in the butt, but it'll be worth it in the end, trust me. So down here needs a little more, all right? So I put it way up high, let it fall down, because we're trying to build up this area where the bolts pulled kind of a dent into there, all right? And it's okay if we have a little more than we need, because we can come back, like I said, with a grinder and make that flat. For those that weren't watching, the holes that go through the transom for the jack plate, I put tape in those holes, and then at the end, once you're done grinding, you could just run a drill through there. But we've already got this built back up to where the factory height. Okay, so we already got that built up. I'm liking the way that's looking. Okay, let's bring a little more right here on this rib. All right. Okay. Hey everybody, apologize, I thought I was already recording. Anyway, all I've done is cut out the heavy mat, and then I'm mixing up half a quart of resin, and I'm going to saturate this. It's multiple layers upon layers over each, and this is going to make those corners strong. Instead of making those stringers, I decided to use this material. It's just a heavy woven, and then we'll put chop strand over this. See how heavy that is? This is super strong. So it's in the corners of each and over the transom repair. So I'm going to mix that resin up right now, and then I'll be dumping that on there and rolling it out.
Your mindset is everything. Your mindset. The easy road, or the road uphill that leads to success.
And that's going to wrap it up for today's segment. This is part 1 of part 2. We will see you tomorrow.
Thank you.